surviving the disease. Data has shown that older persons stand a higher risk of dying. Are you 55 years and above? Do you have pre-existing health conditions? Please safeguard yourself and minimize your risk. Observe all COVID-19 protocols.
If you hear of anyone with high fever, dry cough, and difficulty in breathing, please do not go near such a person because they could be a victim of coronavirus infection. Call someone else or the NCDC to assist. Please use your prescribed medications regularly. Exercise around your home and eat well so that you can remain healthy and strong. For an older adult, to beat coronavirus is not to contract it at all.
This message is brought to you by Gerontology Association of Nigeria, the Geriatrics Association of Nigeria, and Dave Omokoro Foundation in conjunction with the Nigerian Television Authority, NTA.
There is a lot of fake news and report circulating, especially on social media, on the coronavirus. Do not believe or partake in the spread of these fake reports. If it is not on the official website or news from the Nigerian Center for Disease Control, NCDC, disregard such report. Only together can we beat this virus. Only together can we overcome this pandemic. Follow the instructions and guidelines provided to combat this virus. Most importantly, stay at home. Self-isolate, regardless of your status. The virus doesn't move unless we move. Let us work together to better Nigeria. Together.
President Buhari engages ECOWAS head of mission on the elections in Niger Republic.
NAFDAC approves 2 COVID-19 vaccines for Nigeria.
We have to make sure we focus on fixed number of vaccines, but just to let you know that we will start the review on the Pfizer-BioNTech vaccine, and then we're going to get others that are in COVAX facility.
Affected families react to Kagara abduction.
I say we feel so bad. We are there sitting down, mourning.
They are strong, looking for how we are going to see them.
On Good Morning Nigeria today, we shall continue our discussion on the Kagara mass abduction with a focus on securing soft targets in Nigeria.
As the search intensifies for the abducted students and staff of Government Science College Kagara in Rafi local government area of Niger State, the federal and state governments are exploring all options to ensure that all those in captivity are set free.
The federal government has dispatched to Minna, Niger State, a team of security chiefs to coordinate the rescue operation and interface with state officials, community leaders, as well as parents and staff of the college in order to facilitate the release of the kidnapped students and staff.
Workingly, also the Nigeria Police Force under Operation Poor Father has deployed 4 units of mobile force, the special forces and other operational personnel and assets to the bandit-prone local government areas of Niger State to rescue all kidnapped victims still being held hostage by bandits.
Well, the Niger State government is optimistic that victims of the Kagara school abduction may regain their freedom earlier than anticipated. Now, officials in Minna have already given indication that interface with the abductors is imminent and a resolution of the abduction saga might be achieved.
Now, in the first leg of our program yesterday, we had Kabiru Adamu, Security Risk Management Expert, and Brigadier General John Temlong, First Commander of the Multinational Joint Task Force. Both guests reiterated that kidnapping of students in schools considered a soft target is becoming one too many.
Now, the experts noted that the Kagara school abduction could have been nipped in the bud if only security indicators and intelligence gathering were utilized and deployed to foil the abduction. And talking about soft targets, we recall that the Safe School initiative was launched sometime in 2014 as an aftermath of the Chibok schoolgirls kidnap. And the purpose was to galvanize measures for security and safety of schools around the country.
So what has happened to the Safe School initiative Nigeria committed to in 2014? What other soft targets in the country require adequate security going forward? When will the kidnapped Kagara students, staff, and families be released? How do we recover from the trauma as a nation? We will seek answers to these questions and more on today's edition of Good Morning Nigeria, broadcast live on the network service of the NTA. My name is Kirian Umayo.
And I'm Kingsley Osadolo. I joined my colleague Kirian to also welcome you to the program. We're live from our studios here in Abuja. We're joining our colleague presently for the highlights of the morning news. Business news will follow thereafter, and of course we'll have our newspaper review. Now let's get the morning news from Chimobi Watanaji. Good morning, Chimobi.
Hello, good morning, Kingsley and Kirian. It's good to be with you this morning. Good morning, Nigeria. Here is the morning news. President Muhammadu Buhari says the outgoing administration of Muhammadu Yusufu in the Republic of Niger deserves accolades for keeping scrupulously to the country's constitution with respect to the runoff polls later this month. The president made the remarks when he received former Nigerian Vice President Muhammad Namadi Sambo, who is ECOWAS head of missions on the elections in Niger Republic. He congratulated the mission for peaceful conduct of the polls in line with the provisions of the Nigerian constitution, while emphasizing the need for peace in Niger Republic, being one of Nigeria's closest neighbors. Members of the National Economic Council at a meeting Thursday in Abuja made commitments to compensate victims of clashes and work towards prevention of further crisis among people in communities. The council meeting, presided over by Vice President Yemi Osinbajo, spent over 6 hours reviewing the social intervention program aimed at pulling 100 million Nigerians out of poverty, the National Integrated Infrastructure Master Plan, an update on security situation, and the implementation of community policing in states.
Unanimous and resolute against crime and criminality, irrespective of whom it is committed by. So state governors are unanimous on that. We are going to support each other, support our security agencies, work with the federal government to ensure that crime and criminality are punished.
In the meantime, the Nigeria Police Force says it is committed to the safe rescue of all abductees in the recent attack on Government Science College, Kagara, in Rafi local government area of Niger State and other related incidents. A statement by the force indicates that a joint search and rescue mission involving the police, military and other law enforcement agencies is ongoing to ensure that all abducted persons are rescued unhurt and reunited with their families. The Inspector General of Police, while calling for calm, enjoins members of the communities to provide the force and the security community with relevant and timely information that can assist in the ongoing search and rescue operations. In the meantime, a student of the Government Science Secondary School, Kagara, Niger State, Caleb Ismail, says the abduction of his schoolmates and a narrow escape will not deter him from pursuing his education. Bilahi Muhammad caught up with him while receiving treatment from wounds he sustained as he escaped the abductors.
But they tell us, if you cannot stop, I can shoot you. But they has already started running, but they are shooting him in the head.
We feel so bad. We are there sitting down, mourning, receiving the condolence visits from our neighbors and well wishers.
In other news now, National Agency for Food and Drug Administration and Control NAFDAC has given approval for use of Oxford AstraZeneca vaccine and the COVID-19 vaccine dossier from Serum Institute of India to serve as emergency vaccination for Nigeria after due consideration and examination. The approval was given accelerated consideration following the emergency use listing by the World Health Organization and other frontline countries.
That COVAX facility has all countries that are eligible for the donation for the free vaccines will also be eligible for access to the dossiers. So we have the Pfizer-BioNTech dossier right now. We got that yesterday. We may use it, we may not use it in Nigeria because we have to make sure we focus on fixed number of vaccines. But just to let you know that we will start the review on the Pfizer-BioNTech vaccine, and then we're going to get others that are in COVAX facility.
In the meantime, the Nigeria Center for Disease Control (NCDC) has announced 877 new cases of COVID-19 in Nigeria. The latest figures released brings the total number of confirmed cases to 150,246 infections in the country. A breakdown of the new cases from 25 states and the FCT indicates that Lagos recorded the highest number for the day with 273 new cases, while Kaduna has 87 new cases. Others are Rivers 58, Akwa Ibom and Ebonyi State recorded 47 new cases each, while Edo and Ogun States have 46 new cases each. Abia, Imo and Kano States recorded 34 new cases each. Others are Oyo with 26 new cases, Osun 22, Gombe has 20, Ekiti 19, while Cross River and the FCT recorded 15 new cases each. Plateau has 11, Enugu 9, Kebbi 8, Borno 7, Niger 6, Bayelsa 5, Nasarawa has 4, and Kwara has 2. The day's tally is completed by Katsina State and Sokoto with 1 new case each. Total confirmed cases in the states shows that Lagos has the highest with 53,725, followed by the FCT with 18,799, and Plateau comes third with 8,793 cases. With the latest development, total number of active cases stands at 21,860, while 26,417 cases have been successfully treated and discharged, and an unfortunate 1,803 patients have lost their lives. And that's the morning news. The program continues with Kieran and Kingsley just after the break. Stay with us.
I bring you wonderful news. The village headmaster is coming back to your screen. Mo wire abi mi o wire. Teacher no more. A fẹ́ lọ wá nǹkan jẹ. Teacher no more. A fẹ́ lọ wá nǹkan jẹ. Ọmọ onírẹsì ti dé.
Ajebo na better school for Las Gidi. Not be all this on a rugged school for Ijabi. I don't know for you.
Second, it's called Oja Village. Kadesi, we no happy at all.
And I know that even you too, you are getting a lot of orders. Hey, we are trying, Shao. Sweep her leg out. She was standing there. Sweep it.
I love you so much. And how did I give you the impression that I was interested in that position?
50-year anniversary.
You mean anniversary?
I mean, I talk with that now.
Not for me. Not for me because of Pamio.
Airtel is saying thank you to all loyal customers in the Airtel Thanks Cash Token Rewards. Each subscriber stands a chance to win up to 100 million naira every week. To opt in, dial *479# and follow the prompts. To qualify, simply recharge your Airtel number. Each cash token gets you an 8 naira instant cash back, plus a chance to win up to 100 million naira weekly in the National Cash Token Draw, showing every Saturday by 9:30 p.m. on AIT and 8 p.m. on Pop Central DSTV channel 189. All transactions done on *479# are rewarded with more cash tokens, and you can also check your cash token balance via the same code. Only loyal customers of the smartphone network are entitled to the Airtel Cash Token Reward. For more information, simply dial *479# or visit www.airtelthanks.ng. Terms and conditions apply.
Airtel, the smartphone network.
My dear party members, there comes a time when all good people must not only speak, but rise up and get involved in the task of improving their society. The need has never been greater than now for all Nigerians to actively contribute to the all-important task of nation building by bringing about good leadership and governance. For most citizens, their greatest weapon is their vote. Register now for your party and register when the time comes for elections. Political parties are the main vehicles under our laws through which citizens can participate in the ideals and practices of our democracy. As we have seen happening around the world, good citizens join political parties and use them to bring about the changes they desire. I am therefore endorsing the nationwide membership registration and the revalidation exercise embarked upon by our party, the All Progressive Congress. I call on patriotic Nigerians to come out during the exercise, which starts on the 25th of January, and avail themselves of the opportunity to join the APC. Thank you, and may God bless our country.
After sharing the spoils in their last meeting, Southampton will be looking to secure all 3 points when they welcome the Blues to St. Mary's. This Saturday, it's Southampton versus Chelsea on the Premier League Live, showing on the network service of the NTA from 1:30 p.m. The Premier League Live is brought to you by Axis Bank, Babai Jebu, Lipton, and Close Up, in association with Go.com.
We are watching Good Morning Nigeria on the network service of NTA. Now let's talk business. Products value addition, key to encouraging export in Nigeria. Let's hear more on business news with Chimobi Watanaji.
There are indications that Nigeria has exited its second recession, with the latest figures from Nigeria Bureau of Statistics showing a Q4 growth of 0.11% compared to minus 3.6% recorded in Q3 2020 and minus 6.10% in Q2. with a cumulative decline of minus 1.92% in 2020 compared to 2.27% growth recorded in 2019. In other stories, federal government through the Nigerian Export-Import Bank is set to ensure standards of commodities to be traded in the African Continental Free Trade platforms.
To find Nigerian produce that we can export to the world. Export to the world also means exporting to our neighbors. And for all of us, what we use is the same thing that they use in Cotonou. It's the same use they use in Niger. Given that we want to encourage even manufactured goods to be exported out of Nigeria, it is key that various standards along the value chain are met.
And here is the closing figures on the floor of the capital market. With business news, I'm Chimobi Walter Naji.
Thank you, Chimobi, for the business package. Newspaper review is next on Good Morning Nigeria.
Bayo Altayabi is here with us. Of course, he's our regular newspaper reviewer. Bayo, it's good to see you again today.
Thank you, Kirian. Good morning. Good morning, Kinsley. Good morning, Nigeria.
All right, now we have about 3 newspapers here today. Let's begin with the Punch newspaper. The Punch newspaper above the nameplate. Discos to pay for energy rejection. Discos to pay for energy rejection, says NEC. It's on page 21. Experts rate economy as weak despite exit from recession. It's on page 21. NAFDAC approves AstraZeneca for COVID-19 vaccination. It's on page 8. Then we have power generation drops as idle plants rise to 11. Below the nameplate of the Punch, we have Niger, Zamfara hold talks. Troops locate students, workers in forest. We have deployed more troops where abductees, kidnappers are, says CP. Bandits told students they were soldiers to provide security. That's according to a resident. I ran in zigzag pattern to dodge bullets, according to escaped student. And we would like just to say that Wiki Tourist Football Club had the boys conveying them to Uyo for a league match, caught fire, and that's what you will see on the front as a photo story on the Punch newspaper. Wiki Tourist Football Club really had a bad day. And below that, we have police operate in fear as herdsmen kill 7 in Edo. Police operate in fear as herdsmen kill 7 in Edo. That's on page 8. EFCC busts internet scam training center. Arrests 27. Court refuses to unban Kano preacher accused of incitement. That's on page 7. We have other stories. Governors pledge to compensate farmers, herdsmen clash victims. It's on page 8 of the Punch. Then after discovering arms and ammunition, I was arrested, according to suspect. Page 9. Mietiala faction backs Bauchi governor on carrying AK-47 rifles. It's on page 7.
Look at Daily Trust front page. NAFDAC approves AstraZeneca COVID-19 vaccine. That's on page 4. FCTA, that's Federal Capital Territory Administration, bans open grazing in Abuja. FCTA bans open grazing in Abuja. Nigeria exits recession, records 0.11% growth in Q4. That's Q4 2020. That's on page 16. Lead story says Niger abduction with a kicker. 52-year-old Kagara school in Surrey State. How I watched gunmen kill my friend. That's according to one of the students. Abductors operated for 2 hours. Police post nearby. That's according to a source. Now, police involve hunters in rescue mission. You can see the photographs on the front page there of the Daily Trust. The main photograph there, that's the one on the left, looks like a hostel, but that's more like a hovel, actually, not a hostel. And the other photographs would see this would appear to be perhaps a classroom. And look at the quality of the furniture. And then, of course, the school building probably hasn't seen a touch of paint for many decades. Insecurity, that's the kicker. States to cede own share of ECA being SS crude account, and others to arms purchase. That's page 4. Why insurgency may last for 20 years. That's Burutai, former Chief of Army Staff. Ex-Customs Comptroller General Diko Ande and Dr. Junai Mohammed die. You have the stories on pages 8 and 11. Rape victim identifies neighbor among her kidnappers. That's page 23.
Thank you, Kingsley. Let's look at the running story. The federal and Niger State government are using third parties to reach out to the bandits who abducted 27 students, 3 staff, and 12 members of their families at government secondary school, Kagara. 2 prominent repentant bandits have been drafted from Zamfara and Katsina and have been made to reach out to the kidnappers. Already, it has been established that the abductors are bandits who are from one of the camps in Kaduna Forest that is spread across the border of Niger in the north and Zamfara, Niger in the south and Zamfara in the north. Daily Trust reports contact has already been made with the abductors, that the pressure from the non-kinetic aspect is that the major challenge is a lack of trust between the bandits, especially they allude that Kaduna State Authority does not negotiate with them. Initiatives are already underway to get the leaders of the abductors to talk with and listen to the others. That is on the kinetic, on the non-kinetic side. On the kinetic side, the air patrol has been intensified over the forest that traverses Katsina, Zamfara, Kaduna, and Niger State, which has become the haven for the criminals. Meanwhile, the federal government delegation led by the Minister of Information, including the National Security Advisor, as well as the Ministers of Interior and Defense, Police Affairs, have visited Minna. The delegation says that the President assures the people of Niger State that all resources will be deployed to ensure the safe release of the victims. The National Security Advisor stressed that the President has directed the application of whatever measures to ensure students are returned safely, and no responsible government will relinquish its sovereignty to bandits, kidnappers, and insurgents. The Inspector General of Police, who was also on the delegation, says that we know the abductors. We have re-strategized. We have deployed units of mobile policemen to reinforce security. We will apprehend those who committed the act. Meanwhile, a repentant bandit has thrown light on what happened in the case of Kankara. Awalu Daudawa says that the abduction of the Kankara students, they did it to show Katsina State government who dead them. Awalu Daudawa said because Governor Bello Masari dead his men by ruling out any option of dialogue with the group. So he said, simply, what we did was to show them that we can actually do what we did. We should not take the battle. We should take the battle to them. Those who are not interested in peace will learn their lesson. After the abduction, you could see that it was not difficult for them to come around and have discussions with us. I did not do it because of money, he asserted. His group did not collect any ransom, saying if it were for money, I would not have even released them even for 2 trillion. Before Awalu Daudawa laid down arms, he had led a gang of bandits that terrorized the highway between Dumburu Forest and the highway between Zurumi and Jibia area. Meanwhile, the governors, 36 governors under the auspices of the Governors Forum, have met in Abuja and have offered to cede portions of the SS crude account to fund the purchase of hardware to combat insecurity. The chairman of the Governors Forum and the governor of Ekiti says they are prepared for portions of the SS crude account, the National Resource Development Fund, and Economic Destabilization Fund to procure necessary military and security capacity to address impunity across associated with crime and criminality. The governors also frown at the idea of ethnic profiling, saying that crime and criminality is not ascribed to any ethnic group. They express interest in strengthening our judicial system so as to accelerate access to justice for victims of crime. They reviewed the need to strengthen the National Livestock Transformation Plan because traditional approach to grazing is no longer sustainable. Nigeria has eased out of recession by 0.11% in the October to December quarter. This is the result published by the Nigeria Bureau of Statistics. Nigeria exited the recession it went into by mid of 2022. Data from the Bureau of Statistics show that in fourth quarter 2020, the economy went up higher by than what it had in the third quarter of 2020. It went up by 3.74%. The real growth in the GDP was put at 9.68%, which stood at 43.56 trillion. With the 2 successive positive earnings, the economy came out of recession.
All right. Well, let's take a look at this late story of the Daily Trust newspaper. Incidentally, we had discussed the Kagara school abduction yesterday, and we're still returning to it today as an entry point for our conversation on securing soft targets. When you see the photographs of the school, and a number of other photographs also circulated on social media yesterday, there are a number of questions that arise. Are there no education inspectors in Niger State? Because if there were education inspectors, they will go around the schools to see what the state of the schools is like. And for this, I mean, take a look again, if you can see that on the screen, what looks like a dormitory, because I can see something that looks like a bed, perhaps a double bunk bed, and mosquito net. Is this fit for human habitation? And when pupils go through this kind of environment, what kind of orientation do they have? Then where was the commissioner for education? Over the years, they've had commissioners for education. Nobody has visited this school.
Not just orientation. What kind of education are they going to get?
Absolutely.
Right. They won't be able to concentrate. So actually, read their books.
Well, a conducive environment is required for learning. If you recall, even in the environment for Kankara, the compound was said to be very porous. There was no perimeter fencing. In Kagara too, you see that the perimeter fencing, a part of it has broken down. So the already out at the outset, the perimeter security is already compromised. So it was easy for the bandits to overcome the local security men with the college. So security is also another factor.
Yeah, no, Bayo, we understand what you talked about now. What I'm talking about is just the quality of the learning, or what is supposed to be a learning environment. It's the quality. That's when I say, look, don't they have education inspectors? I don't know how they function now, but in those days you used to have, for primary schools, AIE, CIE. AIE stood for Assistant Inspector of Education. They normally will go around primary schools on their scooter. And if you knew that there was a visitation coming by an AIE, Of course, the head teacher and the teachers will prepare your school premises how to be speak and span. Now, what is it that we are having here? I'm saying this is a secondary school in the first instance.
If you're talking about inspection, Kingsley,
yes.
What about the educational system in the state?
That's right.
Is education prioritized in the state? If it is prioritized, of course, having a good structure that will monitor education will be there. Right. So if you don't have such a structure, how could you be talking about inspection? Who has time to inspect all the schools in a state when it's not properly structured in the system, the educational system of the state? That's just the problem. And I'm happy that we're not happy because of the incident, but again, that has now
the incident has
exposed the school.
Some of these,
and you can be sure that there are many more such institutions in different parts of the country.
Oh, sure. I mean,
in different parts of the country.
In all parts of the country.
Yeah, we cannot be paying lip service to this. I think that there is a National Council on Education. And this kind of embarrassment ought to be a wake-up call for members of the National Council on Education to see what they can do. The structure is one that you have to, cater for. Let's face it. I'm sure the bandits themselves would have found this, apart from the fact that the perimeter fence was compromised. They would just have found this to say, look, that's people who are here probably cannot pose any resistance. If the environment is already run down itself, let's overrun the place.
Well, there was this other story you read about the former chief of army staff saying that insurgency is not likely to end in the next 20 years because he has said that the terrorists have been able to indoctrinate the people and making it difficult to defeat them by way of military action. He was speaking during being screened by the Senate committee as a non-career ambassador. Lieutenant General Tukur Retired said, though Nigerian troops and those of the Cameroon, Chad, and Niger have recorded successes, military onslaught alone cannot end the crisis. He's the former chief of defense staff, who was also there to the screen, also gave an inkling, and he said, for several years back, attention had been drawn to state government that had control over forests, that forests have been abandoned. And if something was not done, it could be taken over by criminals. And that is exactly what is happening now. It has become a safe haven for criminals, bandits.
Well, when we don't have a functional local government, how can the state now man the forest? Because if we have a functional local government areas, of course, the council chairman and the councillors and the other officials of the local government will pay attention to the forest because that the government closer to the people.
Forest reserves under the auspices of state government.
All right.
But again, the government nearer to the forest as the local government.
Is the local government.
Well, okay. Why insurgency may last for 20 years? What reports were being given to the commander-in-chief? Was the commander-in-chief informed that insurgency will last for another 20 years?
Well,
all right, Bayo. I mean, that's an open question. We're going to see you again on Monday. To have a nice weekend.
Thank you.
You're watching Good Morning Nigeria on the network service of the NTA. We'll take a short break now. When we return, of course, we'll be dealing with our main topic for conversation.
The counsel of our fathers.
I will urge and advise our younger generation to use talent and brain to sort out problems, not arms.
Nigerian youths, let's build our nation together.
When times are tough, we know that as a mother, one thing you should never compromise on is your family's oral health, because they deserve the best. Oral-B, all-round protection. Its great value, it protects your mouth from harmful bacteria and also protects you against tooth holes and gum problems which can lead to tooth loss. It strengthens your family's teeth and gives them all-round protection. So remember, protect their future. Oral-B for healthier, stronger teeth in just 1 week.
Nigerian youths are about the greatest assets the country has at the moment. It is therefore not surprising that the administration of President Muhammadu Buhari is strategically responding to the yearnings of the youth through multiple projects and programs. Youth entrepreneurship support years by Bank of Industry, the Youth Investment Fund by the CBN, and several other conditional cash transfer programs. Recruitment of 774,000 social workers, majority of whom are youths, and so many other projects that are beneficial to youths directly or indirectly. If the administration can do all this, definitely with a degree of patience and time, it can achieve more. Nigerian youths must come together to say no to terrorism, no to vandalism, and no to all disruptive tendencies. Hashtag Youth for Greater Nigeria. Pacifying the youths, unifying the nation.
These days, people get their news and information from more media sources than ever before. Some of the news and information given are fake, unverified, doctored, and manufactured to create confusion, stir disaffection, and cause disunity. Before you believe or share any news, ask yourself, is this real? Is it from a credible source? Is it verified or verifiable? Fake news is dangerous, whether you do it for fun or for political gains. Real people can get hurt. Fake news, don't create it, don't spread it.
This is a public service announcement from NTA.
After sharing the spoils in their last meeting, Southampton will be looking to secure all 3 points when they welcome the Blues to St. Mary's. This Saturday, it's Southampton versus Chelsea on the Premier League Live, showing on the network service of the NTA from 1:30 p.m. The Premier League Live is brought to you by Axis Bank, Babai Jebu, Lipton, and Close Up in association with Gold.com.
The second wave of the coronavirus COVID-19 pandemic is upon us.
To safeguard lives of our people, government has signed the health protection regulations, which makes wearing a face mask mandatory in public places.
Wear a mask. Keep social and physical distancing. Avoid crowded places. Wash your hands regularly with soap and clean water. And use hand sanitizer.
COVID-19 is real. Do not be infected. Do not spread it. This message is brought to you by the Nigerian Television Authority, NTA.
All right, thank you for staying with us on the program today. And of course, to set the tone for our conversation, which is on security soft targets in Nigeria, here is an excerpt from our previous discussion on the same topic.
What happened in Chibok and Dapchi and Kankara should have taught a lesson, especially for states around Niger, Kaduna, Zamfara. They should have noted that those areas have become an area that has been being ravaged a lot. And so some measures should have been taken in terms of physical security of that place. And then backing it up with electronics devices. Cameras would have been very useful. And the cameras these days are those that you can even connect, monitoring even at the state capital. So, and they're not expensive. I don't see any reason why you cannot deploy like $500,000 naira to put cameras around that area, surveillance cameras. And the commissioner of police or the state police command, the local government or the divisional police or area command should be able to be monitoring all these things to be able to react as quickly as possible. It's just simple nonchalance and dereliction and the lack of accountability, because we know nothing happens at the end of the day.
The Safe School Initiative is internationally acclaimed. Countries like Pakistan have tried it, and it has worked for them. Now, in 2014, we endorsed that initiative, but we have not implemented it. And because we've not implemented it, one of the most critical sectors in our economy is suffering. We cannot go anywhere if this continues. Some of us can afford to send our kids to private schools that perhaps will have better protection. But the majority of Nigerians rely on these public schools. Now, how many parents in this circumstance will allow their kids to go to school? There are three components to the Safe School initiative. The school premises itself, that's the physical security in the school, then the residents inside the school, and then the community where the school is domiciled. Now, before you even do that, you need to do an audit around the whole country and identify the schools that are vulnerable.
All right, now those were excerpts from our conversation yesterday on the Kagara school mass abduction. Today, of course, we are returning to that subject and discussing the larger question of the protection of soft targets. As we did yesterday, we are having our correspondent, Abdullahi Mohammed, who is at Kagara. Abdullahi, good morning, and of course, good to have you. I see that you're all dressed up today. Perhaps it's chilly because right here in Abuja, it's pretty cold. What is the situation in terms of the weather, and what are you hearing about the abducted pupils and staff?
Just like I told you yesterday, right now I'm in the premises of the Science Secondary School here in Kagara. Obviously, you see, I am shaking. And just like I also mentioned yesterday, I am wondering how the students out there in the bush what they will be going through right now. Before I arrived here, we got the feelers that some students that were kidnapped have escaped, and then I quickly put a call through to one of our sources of information at Kagara in the town itself, and then he told me that he got the information too, but it's not confirmed. And then on arrival here, if you look at behind me here, you see some staff of this secondary school standing there. I spoke to some of them. I asked them whether they have heard anything like that. They said yes, that they got calls from people trying to confirm from them if there's anything like that. And you know, if something like that has happened, I think this place might be the second place that this information will come if a student escaped from that bush. First of all, the student would like to contact his parent, and then secondly, his principal or teacher to narrate how he escaped from that bush. But on getting here, we found out from them that they said that they've not gotten any information pertaining that.
We also hear that interface with the kidnappers is imminent. What are you hearing about that? Is there any possibility of establishing contact, with the abductors at the moment?
If you watch the conversation between my colleagues Hamis Rogo yesterday with one of the top officials of the Niger State government, there was a kind of body language telling us that they are fully in contact with the bandits and negotiation is ongoing, but precisely the top official was not opening up to say exactly that this is what is going on, that maybe in so time and so time they will be able to say that these boys will be released. But definitely looking at his body language tells you that there is an ongoing negotiation, and I think they are confident that something positive is coming out of that conversation or negotiation that they are having.
What is the mood like now in the town? We know that this is, of course, a very trying situation for the parents and indeed other residents of the town. What are they thinking? What are they saying to you?
I have spoken to so many of the residents yesterday, especially from, let's say, 24 hours earlier. What they told me is that what they are seeing in terms of coordination of security is unprecedented. And yesterday, while we were on live from there, we have shown visuals of the number of people that always gather by the police station to show their solidarity, appreciating what the security agencies are doing. In the morning yesterday, we saw a huge number of security operatives, the military, the police, and of course, the residents of the community have volunteered, so many of them. They collaborate with the security agencies. In the morning, they left into the bush, and they've been there all through the day until around 6 p.m. in the evening. We saw them coming back. If you see them, you'll understand that they've gone through a lot. They were, dust all over them, and if you see their body language too, you'll understand that it's not just a normal patrol that an ordinary person, a faint-hearted person, can go through. So the security agencies are doing a lot. They're doing so much, and the residents also are appreciative of that, and they are always out there in solidarity with what is going on.
There is this information that the kidnapped students and their abductors have been located somewhere in the forest. Has that been confirmed?
That has also been that information has also been going around, but almost all the people that we have spoken to could not confirm that is true.
Tell us something about the terrain in and around Kagara. We'll keep hearing forest. Is the area hilly, or is it a flat land, or what? What is the geography of the place like from your knowledge?
Actually, anywhere you are standing in and outside, outskirts of Kagara, what you'll be seeing is rocks. It's a very hilly environment, and in some places bushes. And I think that kind of situation gives room for the bandits who understand that terrain very well to operate. But we know what they are using is motorcycles. Yesterday we saw that the security agencies were also provided with motorcycles, at least for that to be a match to what they have, and for them to be able to also go through the terrain and then be able to meet up with them. It might become anything can happen.
And how is the state government taking the situation? We understand also that the state government has been ramping up efforts, to ensure that the kidnapped students and their teachers are released. What is new about what the state government has been doing?
What I can tell you right now that it is new that we have seen is the coordination, is the number of security agencies that we see coming into the town, converging on the police station, the only police station in Kagara here, and then, putting themselves together, putting out their strategy, talking to themselves, sharing the kind of approach they want to put out there as they go into the bush. And I think that tells us that somewhere in the state government, the federal government, there's a lot of push there for them to make sure that they go into the bushes and then do their best to be able to release these boys.
Abdullahi, let us know, does Kagara have a traditional head? And if so, by what title? Is he a town head, village head, or an emir? And assuming there is one, and he has a palace or a home in Kagara itself, what is the view out of the palace, and what are the people doing around the palace at this time?
Of course, Kagara has a Seriki. We've been to the palace there. But unfortunately, we were told that the Seriki himself is not feeling fine. He's hospitalized, and that is the reason why there's not much activity at the palace.
Thank you for the information you've just given us. If need be, we may return to you in the course of this program. And what Kinsler and I raised earlier on was the fact that the school appears to be dilapidated to a reasonable extent. And from what is in your background, we can see really that the school actually needs a touch. And of course, what has happened is an indication that many more schools could be in this kind of state. But that's by the way. Thank you indeed for your contribution.
Thank you very much.
Yes, Kirian, you can see our correspondent there, Abdullahi. It's a chilly environment. We do hope that he can help himself with a cup of tea or a cup of coffee, after staying out there in the cold. We really appreciate him. And we also probably would return to him once there is any update. Now, we are having our guests to start off this conversation segment. Let's welcome Group Captain Sadiq Garba Shehu, who is a retired Group Captain. He's a security and defense consultant and an expert in safe school declaration. Group Captain Sadiq, delighted to have you this morning.
Thank you very much. Good morning, viewers.
From our Lagos Network Center, I would like to welcome Aliyu Umar Babangida. He's CEO, Goldwater and Riversand National Security Solutions and Resource Consult. Aliyu Umar, delighted to have you this morning.
Now, joining us from Lagos via Zoom is Dr. Ona Ehomu, President, Association of Industrial Security and Safety Operators of Nigeria. Dr. Ehomu is glad to have you this morning again.
Thank you very much, Mr. Kieran. Good morning, and good morning to Honorable Kingsley also.
All right.
Thank you, Dr. Ona Ehomu. Let's see if we can go back to Aliyu Umar Babangida in our Lagos Network Center. Aliyu Umar, another soft target, another mass abduction, and we are back to the usual search and rescue, negotiations, and of course anxiety amongst the parents and relatives of the abductees. What do you think?
Yeah, indeed it's unfortunate, but it wasn't unexpected. I have followed incidents around Niger State because I have a bias for Niger State, being from Niger State. And I can tell you what happened at Kagara could easily be traced to an indicator which happened some months ago at a place called Tunga Maji in Abuja. A set of bandits actually raided that town and were plundering foodstuff and supplies from homes and shops, after which they abducted a number of females. When these bands of criminals behave like that, it means they are preparing to camp. They are preparing to set up base somewhere, and they need food supplies, and they also need people to cook their foods and meet their other needs as are informed by nature's offices. That's where the women or the females become useful. And then when that happened, from my own place, I saw a possibility that Kogi, Niger, and to some extent, Nasarawa may just be attractive places from which they can sit and from there probably harass the Federal Capital Territory. So I did a lot to reach out to my governor. I got across to him, and at that point he said they were on top of it. Well, here we are. We have a situation where we have our children in the hands of these unscrupulous elements. And is it as bad a situation as it looks? Yes and no. There are indeed windows of opportunity. There are indeed weaknesses these bandits have shown openly that can be exploited to ensure that we discourage, if not totally eliminate, their inclination to take after school children. At the moment, there is a lot of air-ground liaison from our armed forces, the Air Force, the Army, the police force too. I have been on Kagara all through the night. I was there virtually. I can actually zoom in on that school, I can zoom in on that town and see much from a virtual perspective. And looking at what is happening at that particular spot right now, it's a beehive of security activity, backed by also local efforts. The vigilantes are working. I also have it on good hand that the group, a set of them, has been spotted by aerial surveillance. And as at the last time I checked, coordinated efforts are being made to see how they can actually be ensieged. And having ensieged them, we see how we can extricate these children. The news that some may have escaped is not unlikely, because from what I know, as at 0200 this morning, the aerial surveillance and the search parties, as informed by vigilantes, local security agencies, has constrained their ability to move. Constraining their ability to move also affects their ability to control the crowd they have. And because they are now actually having to look out for themselves, the children, and law enforcement, their hold may be loose on their captives, and that may have informed such escapes. In time, hopefully before this day runs out, today runs out, we may begin to see some of our children just trickle in. And I'm looking forward to that.
All right, thank you indeed. As efforts are being made to rescue these abductors, let's bring in Dr. Onaihumu here again. Dr. Onaihumu, you've actually been following the trend, so far since Wednesday when this incident occurred in Kagara area of Niger State. And so what is your take on the current situation and, of course, efforts being made to rescue the abductees?
Thank you very much, Ms. Kieran. I suggested in a release day before yesterday that they should adopt what I described as the Makama strategy. It's a hot pursuit strategy. I named it after CP and now AIG Makama when he was CP in Ogun State, when they seized some redeemed pastors, and he lined up all the hunters, the vigilantes, civil defense, police personnel, everybody, military troops, and they went in hot pursuit, did a line and walked in hot pursuit of the kidnappers, and they were able to rescue the people. And that, from what Mr. Aliyu is describing, it appears that is what they are doing now in Kagara, in fresh pursuit of the terrorists, and in an attempt to rescue the children. I mean, this is not rocket science. This is simple stuff. The guys have taken on too many captives at once. That's going to limit their mobility, their ability to move very fast. And if you have a situation where you are able to do a scour, that is search a 12-kilometer radius from that GSS, you'll be able to spot where they are. So use of aerial assets has been quite effective. That's in trying to spot the people. The fact that some of the kids are escaping, we saw escape of kids in Chibok. We saw some, we saw escape also in Dapchi. Certainly in Tankara, we had hundreds escaping. So I think the bandits, even in their stupidity and greed, they don't understand that when you take too many captives, you can't control them that easily. And that's what is playing in the favor of these kids who are getting away from the bad guys. Now, I think I want to wait. Let me just rest my comments. And I want to wait for you to talk about the subject that you said that you want to talk about today, soft target, hardening soft target, because that is so critical at this time. All of these are just search and rescue or hot pursuit efforts. I mean, these are, as far as I'm concerned, these are brain dead efforts. You, of course, when they seize your citizen, you have to go after whoever is seizing them. But why don't we prevent it in the first place when we know that the whole of Nigeria has become a soft target? I mean, it's a shame, and we really ought to do something about this.
Thank you, Dr. Ona Ehomo. Well, of course, we'll get into the substance of today's topic presently, but let's also hear the views of Group Captain Sadiq Garba Shehu with regard to the latest incident of mass abduction.
Thank you very much. Unfortunately, the issue of school children abduction, right from Chibok, Dapchi, Kankara, and now Kagara, is becoming a recurring decimal. And it is high time we take, a very elaborate and comprehensive effort, like the last speaker said, about prevention, about hardening these soft targets. When you say soft targets, what do you mean? Like in every enterprise, the criminal enterprise also, it wants something that can give maximum gain for minimum effort. So they go for soft target. Soft target is typically a structure which does not have its own organic defense mechanism, on which either a criminal or a bandit can strike with a very little, hope that there will be resistance and injury to himself. Everybody wants, it's a quick return and easy to this. We have seen schools. Unfortunately, the attack on educational institutions is one aspect that has become an aspect of modern conflict, right from Iraq, Afghanistan, the Malala Yusuf. From there, bandits or all kinds of criminals, terrorists, they have found that soft targets that pay much is schools. Why? Because first of all, you have a number of vulnerable children that are kept in one place that you can pick. And again, it does not have, most schools do not have organic security, architecture to surround them. So you can easily pick that. And whenever there's an issue of children taking, as long as it's children, the sympathy, because we are all parents, we have children, so it's a very traumatic experience for everybody, and it generates a lot of interest. Now, having said that, again, back on what he's saying, let's look at preventive measures. There is this safe school declaration to which Nigeria has, alluded to in 2019, I think. There was a signature, even Federal Executive Council has. What does it require us to do? After the Chibok and incident, which caused a lot of reason, people start looking at what can schools do, what can local communities do, what can security agencies do. Securing a school, it has multiple stakeholders. Of course, we may not have the resources to put, concrete security measures around all schools. But when we say security, people should even look at the smallest level. You don't have to be sophisticated. You start the first circle of defense for any distance is detection. Do you have something that will detect somebody coming? Detection could be as simple as having vigilant night guards, or even vigilant schoolmasters. In secondary school, where there's always the duty master. He goes around with his torchlight. He could be the first person that will signal, the entry of those people there. So let's look at it simple. When you detection, then deterrence. What do I mean by deterrence? Those of us that attended local schools, you'll go and find schools, some don't even have doors. Some don't have windows. They don't have perimeter fences. They don't have lights. Criminals by their nature, they don't like lighted places. So even those small, this, and again, you don't have to do all the schools in Nigeria. The reason is that there are areas where we can say all Nigeria is challenged by security now, but definitely there are areas that are more challenged than others. In those areas, we should try to do at least the minimum to put some sort of security safeguards in such schools. The last thing I would like to say before you come back to me again, I also align with them. You say the only good thing, the favorable thing that is working for security in this aspect is the number of children abducted. Like Mr. Aikomu said, if you carry a large number, that's what happened in Dapchi, you have to think of vigilance over the group. You have to think of feeding over the group because, I mean, even to the terrorist or the kidnapper, a dead hostage is of no use. So he has to make all efforts. And again, that's what gives us a handle to them. As long as they are not able to penetrate and live far, they will not be able to travel fast, and they will be looking for food. During the last Kankara abduction, there was credible evidence even before the children were further. Somebody went to buy kuli kuli. I personally got that information. Somebody went to buy kuli kuli in their market. This is an area, and this is where the community comes in. In a local community, the eating habits are very well known. Somebody goes maybe to buy 200 naira for his household kuli kuli. Then suddenly you see him that day coming to buy a bag, a sack of kuli kuli. That tells you that he has some people he wants to feed. So these are some of the tips that security agencies should be looking to. They will look for food. They will look for shelter. And I align with them if really they are surrounded like we had in Kankara, because they just realize they can't move anywhere. There is boots on the ground. There are eyes in the sky. That is Air Force, police, and army. The movement cannot be far. But we have to, as we up our game, definitely if this thing continues, to also be upping their game. We must see terrorists now that will split children as soon as they catch them, or they will take few, because they are also not that daft. It will dawn on them that carrying a large number is always an albatross. So finally, bringing this safe school, implementing it at the minimum level, at least in areas where there is a security challenge. And the splitting the abductees would make it very difficult, for them to be located. We hope that doesn't happen in these very circumstances. Yeah. So let's get back to Ali Umar Babangida once more. Now, two of our guests yesterday who actually spoke on this particular topic did say that the Kaga school abduction could have been nipped in the bud only if security indicators and intelligence gathering were utilized and deployed. What do you make of this?
Indeed, we have always harped on the viability of indicators. Nothing just happens out of chance. If you know what to look for, you will actually be able to either preempt, protect, or prevent, as the case may be. So there were indicators. Just as I told you, for me, Tungamaji was an indicator. It was an indicator that something big is about to happen within those neighboring areas. Talking about intelligence, I have always said one thing about intelligence. The best intelligence you can have will come to no use if the end user is not intelligent. So intelligence itself is everywhere. It's right here in this studio. It's everywhere. It's to us as we are to it. It's like the ether that informs our existence or the atmosphere. But then, if you do not have what it takes to join the dots, you wouldn't see anything even if you were sitting right on top of intelligence. So basically, intelligence acquisition and what you can call law enforcement liaison with the local populace is also a function of having very intelligent mindsets in place. Just like the senior officer said, someone who actually wouldn't ordinarily need more than a handful of kuli-kuli decides to buy a bag. If there were an operative in that market and he's lethargic or complacent or outright unintelligent, that won't make any meaning to him. Throughout last night, I was sitting virtually over Kankara on a global surveillance app, and I saw that very proximate to that school, about 1,116 meters, precisely 130 meters from that school, there is a T-junction that actually goes straight to a mountain range that is a gateway to a lot of what I want to call wilderness or Sahel savanna vegetation, quite a wide span. That's the closest leeway to that school, and I have this strong inclination to believe that for those men to have melted out of sight, even where Kagara town is a built-up area, that would have been their closest leeway. So you discover that for me, I started crossing and dotting my I's and T's. That's being intelligent. I also know, for example, that the average distance a human being can walk in an hour is 5 kilometers per hour. And if you have hostages and stragglers and hangers on, probably you do 3.5 kilometers per hour. So XYZ hours after the incident multiplied by a factor of 3 hours gives me how many kilometers radius I need to draw around the school. That's intelligence, but you have to be intelligent. You have to think outside the box, probably even a bit curious and mischievous to operate properly within the intelligence scenario. So intelligence abounds, it all abounds, but then the end user must actually know what to look for, how to look for it, and even when you find it, what to make of it.
Ali Umar, thanks a lot. We'll come back to you in the course of the conversation. One of the points you just made a while ago, Kirian, that's relating to how much distance an average human being can trek. I mean, for those who exercise, how long does it take you to do a kilometer? So in an hour, probably you do a kilometer. Sorry, how long will it take you to do a kilometer? That will be about 12 minutes. Now, of course, as you age, that also slows down. And to the extent that they are in a group, as he also indicated, how much control do you have? And if the terrain is rough, some of them are barefooted. So there might be some laggards amongst them. So probably 3.5 kilometers or 4 kilometers. So Ali Umar, always a delight. Thanks a lot. But of course, we're still having you in the course of this conversation. Dr. Ona Ehomo, we have a number of soft targets around the country. How do we begin to secure these soft targets? And by the way, when we say we are securing soft targets, the essence is not to secure them from you and I or Captain Sadiq, who is here in the studios. There's an enemy out there, but the enemy is not proliferating in every nook and cranny of the country. So why don't we also see how we can probably target the enemy wherever they are in their locations before they come to meet those of us who are law-abiding citizens? What are your thoughts anyway?
Thank you very much, Honorable Kingsley. Well, the thing here is how do we disrupt the bad guys in their C2, wherever they are? Well, I think the first thing is securing soft targets is very important. We must have awareness. We must be aware of the fact that there are soft targets, that we have them all over, and we need to identify them. We need to do risk assessments. We need to know where the soft targets are, what the threats against these soft targets are. We need to know what the vulnerabilities existing. I think, and then we need to know what is the criticality, what is the value of the assets that are at risk, because that's going to inform how much mitigation, how much countermeasures we are going to put around those soft targets to ensure that they are not exploited, compromised, destroyed, stolen, whatever.